Hello, good afternoon. This is Hans from My Golden Future, and in a moment I will be joined by Robin Morton, who is an amazing coach, an amazing man, and I hope to share a lot of information with you and with him. And he really knows a lot about crypto and everything that's going on. So we just have to wait a second to see if Robin is available. Is it better now?
Yes, that's perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, okay. Some starting problems, but it doesn't matter. This is the way we do it in crypto space. Although it's difficult in the beginning, we just try and make it work. How are you?
Okay, what I'll do is I'll just hold my phone. I think I'm getting a better reception here than anywhere else, so that's fine. Yes, I'm very good. Yes, I'm just in the
Okay.
middle of making some videos and hence the green screen behind me.
Okay. Yes, yes, okay. Well, one thing I want to know first is it true that you live in the most beautiful part of the world?
It is very, very beautiful, very remote, but unfortunately, along with that comes Stone Age broadband and limited cell phone reception. But yes,
Okay. It should be really difficult for a guy like you who's so active in crypto space, which is all about digital.
Well, do you know, it's getting easier all the time, Hans. But when I first started, you know, when you were needing Google verification, for example, or anything that was sent to you by text, any of the apps, you know, that you were getting onto new platforms, I used to have to jump into my car and drive like a bat out of hell for 10 minutes over a bridge, wave my phone in the air, get the 6 digits, race back
Yes.
to my house again, and you'd get 15 minutes before the code would expire.
Oh,
And
wow.
you know, I used to have to do that, but luckily it's starting to improve, but it's still not great for cell phone reception.
No, no, no. Oh, that must be hard. I can imagine when we first started using the internet banking with the modems and those screaming sounds which came from the modem.
Exactly, but it's proof that, you know, if I can do it, anybody can. You know, I've got, you know, a flourishing online business, and I live in the back of nowhere, you know, back of beyond. So if I can do it, anybody can.
Yes, yes. So, and no reason at all, and no excuses for people to not doing this. And how
Exactly.
do you, yeah, how did you started all this? Was this from the beginning after school, or did you first do other jobs?
Yeah, well, it's a long, long time since I was at school, my friend.
Yeah, me too. You can see.
Yes, well, I've just been scalped by my wife actually, so I've got very little hair left.
Okay, yes.
I was a reluctant accountant for a while. I worked in finance for big companies and small companies, all over the place, America, London, in Europe, and you know, I never really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the corporate structure at all. I
Okay.
felt very constrained by working in a cubicle.
Yeah,
Um, and
I
you know,
can
my
imagine.
creative side was trying to get out, and it was only after you know, I started a business, and then I lost it during the last financial crash.
Oh,
I was kind of in a situation where I didn't have a lot of choice, and I'd always wanted to write a book, so I did that. I spent a year writing a book, and I thought that would be the hardest part of it, but then I found that nobody knew about my book, and therefore that's when I went online. To be honest, I started
okay.
teaching myself about marketing and online business.
Yeah.
That's a thankless task as well. You know, chasing income, you know, continually chasing income all the time. Um, I, I I became disenchanted with that, but then I found assets and I found out about gold and then cryptocurrency, blockchain assets, decentralized finance. Uh, cut a long story short, that kind of transformed my financial situation
Oh,
beyond
wow.
anything
Yeah.
I could have imagined. And now I take great pleasure in helping other people to do the same thing.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. But I can imagine that's difficult to understand these things. How did you educate yourself? How do you learn all this complicated stuff yourself?
Well, it's very, very difficult to do it on your own. You know, we are social animals, and I
Yes,
think that
correct.
the best way to learn is to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Hmm.
So I was very lucky to stumble upon people like Sean Maloney, for example,
Yeah.
and his DBM Academy, his Digital Business Masters platform, as it was at that time. Uh, kind of educated me, and we learned and grew together, and we now help other people to do the same thing.
Okay, yes. Yeah, because I know you already do, you're a coach, you do Zoom calls, so I'm going to discuss this a little bit later with you, what you're telling people, what you're learning people. But do you think it's a complicated space? Because if you look at what happened overnight this weekend, people could say, oh, wow, this is really risky. I don't want to do crypto because everything goes wrong, everything goes down. What's your opinion on what happened and how safe or dangerous the crypto space is?
Yeah, I mean, it's volatile. What goes up must come down, etc., etc. But and what happened at the weekend, whether it was to do with Chinese power cuts and various things, who knows?
Yeah.
But if something gets, if there's too much excitement involved, if there's too much emotion gets poured into something, whether it's DeFi, blockchain, or stocks and shares, celebrity culture, all these things, they can get a bit overheated sometimes, and so therefore there can be corrections. I think that was probably just a necessary correction. If things become overinflated, like in the conventional business sense, right now our currencies are overinflated, our stock market is overinflated. Most of our countries are under a huge debt bubble at the moment, and that debt bubble is going to burst at some point, and there's going to be massive issues with inflation and whatnot. So whether blockchain is more dangerous than that, I sincerely doubt it. The beauty about the blockchain space is we have control. Your money in the bank, you can't control the euro. No. You can't control the pound sterling. You can't control the dollar. So we have very limited options to do anything about it. We just have to wait for the authorities to look after us. Yeah. And I think, I've learned over the last 20 years, and I think a lot of other people have, that we can't rely on bosses, banks and governments necessarily to save us. And this is becoming increasingly so with the huge national debts. I mean, you just need to go and look at US debt, clock.org, and watch the American national debt.
I saw it on your timeline. Yes, yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it already, but today I read this article about the inflation in the US, where they said, okay, we're going to keep it at 2%. But now if you look at the prices, it's already gone up to 2.6 or maybe even more. And then I'm wondering, why is no one looking for a different option? People just accept that their money goes away. How do you feel about that? A saving account, your house, is it safe with these kind of percentages in inflation?
Well, speaking as a businessman who lost his business, lost his house, I would say no, they're not safe.
No.
Your house is only an asset if you own it, lock, stock and barrel. And even then, it's, unless it's going up in value and providing you with an income, it's not a real asset. I think I love the aspect of control that we have now. We can take custodianship of our own assets. We can make them work as hard as we want. It costs nothing to go on to Binance and stake some assets on Binance. It doesn't cost anything to do that. It just takes a little bit of education, a little bit of time. Yeah. So we can, as you know, Hans, we can lend our assets to other platforms and get an income from that. And it's a very exciting space. I mean, 0.1% interest in the bank account, or 30% staking on Binance. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, correct. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your calls in a moment, but you mentioned the DBM Academy. Can you explain a little bit what this is and why this is so important?
It's a group of like-minded entrepreneurs who are involved with the blockchain space under the founding patronage of Sean Maloney, who is a sort of 10-year plus blockchain and internet maestro, really, I would say. Yes. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yes.
He's plugged in, and he's very much into empowering other people instead of employing them. So we try and educate people. We don't sell anything. We just educate people, bring them along with us, If they want to get involved with projects that we're involved in, it's up to them. But we just try and open people's eyes to the potential of blockchain. If you do your homework, do your due diligence, put on your big boy girl in pants, as Sean would say, and just get involved, but learn first, and then take confident, empowered action, as opposed to just following blindly what other people might do. We try and educate people first, so that they can make, educated choices and don't make some of the mistakes that are common in the online space.
Yeah, it's not about just following blindly what Elon says, but it's about education. And education always sounds like expensive. How does that work at the academy?
Well, we have free workshops right throughout the week, all the different time zones. There's 12, 13, 14 coaches, so we cover, from Australia to America and everything in between.
Yeah, amazing.
These are free workshops. There is also a flagship blockchain assets course, which is run by Sean, which is a 5-week paid course. It's very, very affordable. Yeah. And this is guaranteed to give you a real education in a short space of time that would take you, well, you know what it's like, Hans. You can spend weeks, months, years trying to learn this sort of thing on your own. Yeah. Whereas you've got somebody who's experienced to educate you, then you can cut that lead time down, which then means that you can start taking action sooner and start profiting from your own increased knowledge. Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. So all over the world, all different time zones, for newbies, for more advanced people. Okay, that offers a lot of possibilities for people who want to know more and want to get educated. Now back to something you said earlier about writing a book. As I you're working on a new book, but there's something really special about this new book. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Well, yes, I'm hoping to publish a book in the summertime. It's my 6th or 7th published book, but wow, it's possibly going to be published as an NFT, a non-fungible token on the Ethereum blockchain. Either that book or one of my existing books. I'm not quite sure yet, but so I'm thinking. I'm working with a bunch of other authors, and we're kind of pioneering the launching a book as an NFT space. So we're going to collaborate. And we're going to have maybe half a dozen different books that will be available as NFTs. We're going to share the costs of creating them, which isn't a huge amount, but we're going to share that, and then launch them. We're going to have our own portal where we launch NFT books, and people will be able to buy limited edition, exclusive covers, all that kind of thing, like a first edition hardback book, back in the day. So we're going to do that and see how it goes. Now there's a lot of information. You can hardly open any website or it says NFT, and some say it's a hype, but can you explain really simple, what in basics terms, what is an NFT and how should you see this, and how can you use it or buy it or whatever you want to do with it? Well, there's several places you can buy NFTs now, and you probably heard about the big, high profile ones where people have sold a 10-second cartoon or GIF for millions of dollars. That is very much the unusual side of it. NFTs are smart contract technology, Ethereum blockchain, digital products, which, to cut a long story short, they give you authentic ownership of that asset. So if you bought a painting by a famous artist, for example, there might be half a dozen of these paintings, and they'll be numbered. And if you had a limited edition, that would be called, if you owned a limited edition of that, or a limited edition Stephen King novel, it would be worth a lot of money. Well, this is just the same thing with digital products. It can be art, it can be videos, it can be all sorts of things, and it gives the original creator of that asset, it gives them unique rights, and therefore with smart contract technology, they can sell that asset and sell it on, and it can be sold on again and again and again, and they will get a slice of that transaction cost. So it's a way of getting a continual income from an asset, but also a way of making something that there is no other one of its kind in the world. There's no one NFT can be the same as another. They are absolutely unique, whether it's a 10-second cartoon or a book or a massive painting or anything. It's unique. There won't be another one on the planet. So for people who are willing to pay for that uniqueness, it's a fantastic opportunity. But just for ordinary people to create NFTs and have another residual income in their portfolio, it's another opportunity too.
Okay. Yeah.
So very, very exciting space.
Yes, yes. So it's a bit like what they used to have in the United States with these baseball cards and stuff like that, collector's items. So the less there are, the more authentic it is, the more value it gets.
Exactly. Collectibles are a perfect example. Yeah, cartoons, playing cards, all that top trump stuff that we used to play when we were kids. All of these things are going to be ideal for NFTs, but it's also the technology is going to come across into everyday items like passports, driving licenses, birth certificates will end up becoming NFTs because then they are untamperable with. There will be unique proof that nobody can take your identity, for example. So they're going to cross over into more mundane things as well.
Oh wow, that sounds really promising, because there are a lot of problems, of course, with these things. I think more than 1 billion people in the world don't have any identity or identity papers, and if they would have, their country is maybe a problem, their government is maybe a problem, so you never know if it's for real or if it's safe. So this would really help these people get their identity safe, that no one can tamper with it. Okay. You're trying to educate people about it. I read you have your own NFT workshop since last week.
Yes, that's right. Thursday 1 p.m. UTC, 2 p.m. UK time, 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, Eastern Standard Time. Yep, the second one will be on Thursday, and we're just taking a fairly shallow dive into NFTs. We're not going too technical about it, but just outlining the basic premise of what they're about, and then seeing if anybody is interested in getting involved and maybe creating their own.
Yes. So it's really a workshop. Maybe they have to work a lot to create their NFT. Yes. Oh, this would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no technical ability needed. You don't need to know anything about coding or anything. Don't be scared off by that. And we won't put anybody under any pressure. It's just initially it's education and awareness of what NFTs are, and then we'll take it from there.
I think your workshop is a great example, that when you hear about it, it really sounds complicated, but we break it down to the basic things and explain people how it is, and then it looks really simple. Then you can grow in your educational level and work with it. But this is not the only workshop you do, I believe.
Well, I do some blockchain basics workshops to take help take the fear of blockchain away from people, so that they will take the first step and get involved. And then they'll find out it's not that scary. I mean, you don't need to necessarily know exactly how a watch works to understand the time. So it's a bit the same, we don't know how cars, none of us could really, or very few of us could strip a car down and put it back together again, but we can still drive a car. So it's a bit like that. We're trying to give people a little bit of the basics so they understand the safety elements of blockchain, so they don't get caught out. Again, you always hear about the high profile cases of people losing millions of dollars of Bitcoin. Yeah. But usually that's, something really stupid, and it's becoming less and less of a thing because the security and safety is getting better all the time. So my blockchain basics workshop is showing people how to utilize all the safety features so that they get started on the right foot. I do a second workshop which dives deeper into DeFi, into decentralized finance, later on the same day. So that's a little bit more higher level, and we're looking at the potential, the huge potential with decentralized finance. You know, things that you're also very adept at, Hans. So
Yes, yeah.
we're just showing people there's an alternative to just sticking your money in the bank and crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Yeah, yeah, correct. It's nice to hear that you also have your workshop for people who are new and have to learn the basics. And when they learn a little bit, then they can go to the next class and learn a little bit more about creating cash flow from your assets.
Exactly.
Still, a lot of people keep saying, oh, Bitcoin, crypto, it's a scam, it's a pyramid scheme, it's fake money, it's money laundering, criminal activities. If I hear what you say, then you wouldn't agree with those arguments, I think.
Well, you know, I used to think that too before
Okay.
I learned about blockchain. But also, I've learned an awful lot about our financial system as well over the last few years. And you know, people will say, well, blockchain is just like the Matrix. It's zeros and ones on a screen, and Bitcoin is not real. Well, unfortunately, your money in the bank isn't real either. You know, if you were to go, if we all went to our banks right now and asked for our money back, the banks would not be able to do that because they haven't got it. It's all zeros and ones on a screen there too. Your money in the bank, as soon as you put it in, is lent out to somebody else. You know, I would ask people to Google something like fractionalized reserve lending, and that will be a wake-up call to most of you, because you put $100 into the bank, $90 of that will be lent out to somebody else. If they then put that in, then 90% of that will be lent out to somebody else. So there's very little money in banks. There's very little paper money, and even you know, paper money. Our currencies, our major currencies, are just conjured up out of thin air. Quantitative easing is another, you know, it's basically money printing, even though it's not physical nowadays. You know, they just think it up out of thin air, and they create is debt-based money. Basically, it's all debt. It doesn't actually exist. If there wasn't any of the debt, there'd be no money. So it, you know, if anything is a scam, it's our conventional, traditional financial system. It's set up to benefit a very, very few people at the top of the tree, and it's the rest of us, the normal people, who are paying for it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I already said when I announced this video, you're a man with a lot of wisdom, and that we would share and benefit a little bit from your wisdom. I think if people go to your workshops, they will really learn a lot. Can you give me the schedule once again so people know where to go and where to find you, what your page is, and what the days are that you do your workshops?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Facebook and Robin Morton, or you can find my group Defiantly Digital. We have a DBM Academy, so if you Google that or look for that on Facebook, you will find the schedules of all of the workshops that all of our coaches do. My particular workshops on a Wednesday are 11 a.m. UK time, so that's 10 a.m. UTC.
Yes.
That's my blockchain basics. So that's a 40-minute basics workshop.
Yeah.
Then the more detailed DeFi one is at 6 p.m. UTC on a Wednesday. So it's just a few hours later.
Yes.
And then the NFT one is on a Thursday at 1 p.m. UTC.
Okay, great. Well, I hope a lot of people watched our interview and know where to find you now, and know how they can learn a lot about the basic things of crypto, but also about more specific things like NFTs or decentralized finance. It was great talking to you, Robin. Nice that we managed to get a good connection. So after a difficult start, we had an amazing, well, 25 minutes. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your Zoom calls, and well, we meet. I hope very soon we will meet sometimes in real life, because we did a lot of connection, but I love to meet you in real life somewhere.
Exactly. Yes. Well, very soon, hopefully, Chance. Very soon.
Okay. Have a great day, and see you later. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye bye.